Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. So Candace Owens, we all know a few days ago, she got canned from the Daily Wire for a number of reasons. Some of them controversial. You know, she said something about the Israel-Hamas-Palestinian conflict that the owners of, the founders of Daily Wire were not too pleased with, knowing that Ben Shapiro is part of the untouchable community himself. But Shapiro said that wasn't like the only thing that caused her to get canned. It was also like a lot of her views. But then you supposedly said you created the channel for you to be able to, what do you call it? Freedom of speech. Be able to express your views without being censored. But then you get upset with this young black woman because her views don't necessarily match yours. So anyway, I want to touch on a couple of articles because I believe they will explain exactly Candace Owens' mentality and why she does what she does, or why she says and why she believes what she believes. So let's get into it. The first article comes from theforest.com and it reads, "What to know about Candace Owens' history or controversy as Daily Wire cuts ties." And I'm trying not to read the whole thing. I'm just going to try to go through it because, like I said, it's another article I want to get to, which is actually in like an op-ed. But when you look at them both, it should explain a lot. Now, whether you agree with it, whether you like it or not, that's on you. That's for you to decide. But I'm just going to try to tell you what I feel, and then you can come to your own conclusion after that. So it says, controversial public figure Candace Owens has said she is finally free after the Daily Wire, a conservative news website for which she has hosted a weekly show for years, announced Friday it parted ways with her after months of tension between Owens and website co-founder Ben Shapiro. They said, let me see, we'll skip down. That Shapiro, an Orthodox Jew, has been a staunch supporter of Israel amid the war, while Owens has lashed out against political Jews, accusing them of fueling anti-Semitism and supported conspiracy theories that secret Jewish gangs are responsible for horrific acts against people in Hollywood. Now, about the Israel conflict, a lot of people saying that what Israel is doing is just inhumane, over the top. You attacking and destroying like a small little country. There was a few people who attacked, you know, Israelis. And so now you're just trying to take over a whole country because really they say they feel like they want this land. But what you got to understand is, if you read and or believe the scriptures, you know that there are battles in the Old Testament as to where when the Most High sent his people had to go against, you know, war against different enemies, that the Most High told his people that when you fight these folk and you win, because I'm going to lead you to victory, you got to destroy everything. The men, the women, the children, the animals. You don't take nothing. You take nothing with you and you destroy it all. So maybe that's quite possibly what, not saying that these Israelis are like the actual Jews, because they are Ashkenazi, as we know, but if they're going by the scriptures, then maybe that's what Netanyahu is trying to do. You just gotta look at it on from that standpoint. He said Owens has in the past defended rapper Kanye West, whose career was derailed in 2022 after he made anti-Semitic comments and defended actions of Adolf Hitler in the name of nationalism. I don't know anything about that part, so I'm not even gonna get into it. On Wednesday, Holocaust denied Nick Fuentes, or everybody know, nobody like Nick Fuentes. I don't even want to quote what he got to say. Because if he is on your team, shoot, you can't win. It's the Anti-Defamation League on Thursday called Owens and Fuentes bigoted and accused her of fueling the fire of hate with her vitriolic anti-Semitism. Owens said Friday she would bring she will be bringing her show back to YouTube after a brief hiatus. Now, they talk about some things that happened, in her background. So here's what here's where you can start understanding. It says she has been a conservative since 2017 after her idea to launch a website exposing those who harass others online was panned by critics on both sides of the aisle. That year, she said she became a conservative overnight after realizing liberals were actually racist, which, truth be told, it's not just liberals, but what it is, it's an aha moment like, wait a minute, the Democratic Liberal Party aren't really for the Black American people. They just pretend they are. The Republicans, as people believe, are, could be racist also, but they're more upfront with what they do. Like, hey, this is what we're doing. You either jump on the coattails, ride along with it, hopefully you'll survive, or you just go by the wayside and, and you just fall by the wayside. Either way, this is what we're doing. Democrats, on the other hand, are like, hey, we love all you Black people and all you Latino people. We got your back. If you have my back, vote for us and everything will be all right. And Black Americans haven't advanced at all under Democratic leadership. Matter of fact, we've been stagnant or went lower, especially with things like wealth, education, what have you. Discrimination of all kinds is still there, and they haven't really fixed anything for us. But then you come out and you do these laws, you give or the anti-Asian hate crime bill, and the whole thing, sending money over to Ukraine, sending money over to Israel for wars when you're already sending them money. I don't understand. Israel's supposed to have the most powerful army or military in the world, but yet you still funding them, sending them money for what? What else you doing? Migrants, got money for migrants. Unlike writing these blank checks for these sanctuary cities, you're doing all this, and yet you have nothing for Black Americans. So Candace Owens may have came to the conclusion that the Democrats are just like the Republicans, and they are, out there for themselves, for what they call it, for white supremacy, and keeping that as a status quo. It say from there, she became a popular voice of Black conservatives on YouTube and started social media accounts where she posted controversial videos that attracted the attention of people like Jesse Waters of Fox News, Alex Jones, who famously spread rumors the 2012 Sandy Hook shooting was a hoax. I don't know about that guy. And West, who tweeted he loves the way Candace Owens thinks. She founded an organization in 2018 called the Blexit Foundation to encourage Black people to leave the Democratic Party. Now, there goes another issue, because that makes sense for the reason that I just spoke of, to where we're saying, hey, you got to be crazy to sit there and just vote straight Democrat just because they're the party. If they're not doing anything for your best interest and your family benefit or your community benefit, what are you voting for them for? Besides just them being Democrats. And then people say, well, Republicans are racist. Well, shoot, Democrats are racist. Shoot, Joe Biden has been endorsed by at least two old racist people that we know of. Strom Thurmond and was another guy. Can't think of his name. But, said that Biden was going to be one of the up and coming best Dixiecrats in a long time. So, come on. Let me miss me with that. So, for people to say, so let's just say like myself or someone like Philip Scott, and we say, hey, say the heck with the Democratic Party. If they not giving Black folks anything tangible, then there's no need to vote for them. We're not saying vote Republican. We're saying you go sit on the couch. You can vote independent. You can vote Green Party. You can write somebody in. It don't matter, but you just don't give Biden or them Democrats or a party your vote just because they're Democratic. But the thing about what becomes a problem is if I said, Philip Scott said, Tariq Nasheed said, and then Candace Owens said, you would think that all four of us think alike and on the same page on everything. So now you might try to put me in the category as a Candace Owens, when there's a lot of things she say I don't agree with. A lot of things she said that definitely Tariq Nasheed and Philip Scott don't agree with. So you would be wrong and we'll say narrow-minded into thinking that. But she said it, and what they say, even a broke clock is right twice a day. But it says, yeah, she wanted people to lead the Democratic Party. I agree with that part. In 2021, she launched a podcast and video show, Candace, with the Daily Wire, and has hosted guests include former President Donald Trump, former Vice President Mike Pence, and former White House strategist Steve Bannon. But they say, back in the day, she talked bad about Donald Trump, but I guess she saw the light about the Democrats and switched sides. Since her rise to fame, Owens has repeatedly been the center of controversy. She was criticized for tweeting that Russian lives matter following the nation's invasion of Ukraine, and has been openly critical of feminism and called the Wall Street company child groomers and pedophiles after it opposed Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. So let's see, feminism, a lot of us are against that because it seems like it destroys the nuclear family, which has been a big problem in the Black community. So a lot of us men, and women too, we are against feminism, but does not mean that we are staunch Candace Owens supporters. Walt Disney Company being child groomers. Well, there are videos out there that said a lot of these companies that have these shows or that are based around kids, like child actors, a lot of these child actors have came out, spoke against Disney Channel, or Walt Disney Company, spoke against Nickelodeon, because it's a documentary out right now on Nickelodeon. And all these child actors are saying, man, they was in terrible condition. They was harassed. They was abused mentally, sexually, physically by adults. Big problem in Hollywood. All this stuff is coming out now. But again, does not necessarily mean that we are staunch Candace Owens supporters. It's just that we can agree with some of the things that she's talking about. There's nothing wrong with agreeing with somebody, because really what they think has nothing to do with what you think. I mean, heck, if freaking David Duke agreed with one thing that I agree with, doesn't mean that I support the Ku Klux Klan. It just means that for one issue, you know what I'm saying, we got the same vision. What else? It say Owens has been an outspoken critic of the Black Lives Matter movement, famously posing with Kanye West in a White Lives Matter t-shirt during Paris Fashion Week in 2022. Now, see, that's where the problem is. You oppose Black Lives Matter movement. Now, I did too in the beginning, we were for it. We were for the Black Lives Matter movement. But then once you start to figure out that it was against the nuclear family, that was ran by LGBT, LMNOP people, and they were swindling, squandering the money, then it was like, nah, can't roll with that. Can't go with that. Now, I'm not sure that's why she went against them, but that's the reason why most of us was like, nah, this ain't the thing to do. This is not the what we need to be following and supporting. But the whole White Lives Matter shirt, see, let me go ahead and say this. I think what the problem with Candace Owens is inclusion. She probably feels that she doesn't fit in anywhere. Like, for example, she says now that there is no racism, but yet you're the same person who sued a school district or a school because you was discriminated against, you felt you were discriminated against racially. You married a white man because of his IQ, as you said on the Breakfast Club. So you didn't directly say that black men weren't smart enough. You said it without saying it. You said you married him because, because y'all can have intelligent conversation. So you didn't, and Charlamagne and God and them didn't really try to push the issue to see exactly what you meant by that. Because did she mean that, when she said it, what was the context behind it? Did she know any black men in college? Did she date? She said she was on an Asian kick back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Dated a bunch of Asian men, was in love with Asian men, then got out to college. I think she said she dated some black folks in her life, but then somehow married a white man and married him because he was of his intellect. So the question is, the black men that you met, were they not intellectually on your level as a white? What made his intellect more intriguing than anybody else's intellect? Or were you even in the circles of black men? That's another question. Things like that you ask, and you can kind of get the context and understand like really where she come from, and then you can form an educated opinion. It said that same year she wrote, directed, and produced a film called The Greatest Lie Ever Sold, George Floyd and the Rise of BLM. The documentary star film claimed that George Floyd died of an overdose, not at the hands of a white police officer. Now, I'm gonna say something that may not be taken right, but I'm gonna say it anyway. As a person whose career is as a public servant, like a police officer, we are held to a higher standard. So if a patient comes to the hospital or comes to the clinic or what have you, and they complain about something, okay? Complain about pain, stomach pain, head pain, shoulder pain, diarrhea, constipation, ingrown toenail, whatever the case may be. If they complain about it, we have to address the complaint. We have to say, we are told that whatever that patient say the pain level is, we got to respect it, and we give them the prescribed medication. No matter if we believe that they in pain or not. They say the pain is a 10, okay, we give them that Norco, we give them that Hydro, whatever. And we document it and keep it moving. Now we can sit there and say, man, there ain't nothing wrong with that person. They just want pain meds. You know what I'm saying? I knew a guy that he would come up to you in so much pain, ready for this narcotic. Soon as you give it to him, I mean, he's like thriving in pain, like he about to die. You give him this narcotic, and I mean, within a minute, this dude will be like, well, he actually said, man, he said, man, look, I feel better already. And you looking like, what? You ain't even got it. It ain't even been a minute, and you already feel better. That you know that most likely he's no pill seeker. You know what I'm saying? Just addicted to the pain medication. Simple as that. But either way, no matter what I think, no matter what anybody else think, you have to take the patient at what they say, period. So, because if you don't, because the problem is if you don't, and something happens to that patient, their condition actually gets worse, because they can sit there and be lying 99 times. All it takes is that one time that you ignored them, didn't give them what they want, and their condition can become dire. They could die. They can get, they can, condition get worse. And then a lawsuit hit you, hit the hospital, hit the doctors, hit everybody. And it's like, well, that one time when they said that this was going on and y'all didn't do anything about it in a timely manner, now it cost him his health or it cost him his life. Then what? You know what I'm saying? Now you are dealing with something that if you just would have just kept status quo, kept your feelings out of it, you would have, you know what I'm saying, everything would have been all right. And then most likely if something would happen, it wouldn't have been on you. So I say to say this about George Floyd. She said he died of an overdose, not at the hands of the white police officer. Well, two things can be correct at the same time. Shout out to Anton Daniels. He could have been ODing on a medication, or what? No, I ain't gonna say medication. Good luck. On a drug, and who knows? He would have died on his own if he would have never got touched or held down or knee in the back, in the throat of the police officer. Could have been. But the police officer, and I'm just going to speculate because I ain't never been in police academy school, but if the person say they can't breathe, you should take their word for it. Patients come in all the time telling them they can't breathe. Okay, give them oxygen. Tell them, hey, you got too much fluid on. You need to take it off. Okay? I mean, we tell you this all the time. Blah, blah, blah. We go back and forth all the time. They be hard-headed. They take the fluid off. They go back out. They bring in, 4 or 5 more kilos of fluid in 2 days. Trying to take it off. You say, hey, it's not good for your heart, because dialysis is not really good for your heart in the first place. And taking like 4 or 5 kilos off at a time is really pushing your heart, and it's going to hurt you in the long run. Whatever you tell them, yeah, I know this and the third, going back and forth. It's just a continuous cycle until something happens and they get hospitalized or they die. What do? You make sure you do what you need to do. You chart it, you document it, you do it, you do what you train, and you just keep it moving. Frustrated or not, you just got to have a different tolerance for people to be able to understand how to handle them. Police officer, no different. Persons tell you as a public servant, your job is to save lives, diffuse a situation, turn a dire situation and control, get the situation controlled. And your job is to preserve life, period. Unless you are in immediate danger, you have to defend yourself. So if you got a person on the ground say they can't breathe, he should have got off of them. Period. It could have been the fentanyl or whatever else is in the system that made to where he couldn't breathe. But as a police officer, you should have got off his neck or off his back or whatever, off his lungs or whatever. You say he couldn't breathe, you give him oxygen. You can handcuff him, you can handcuff his arms, you can handcuff his ankles if you need to, and you clear the way so you can have enough oxygen to breathe, and then you call the paramedics. It's simple as that. That's how the thing should have been handled, and that's probably why, what's his name, Chauvin, is in prison right now. Probably why, because as a public servant, you are held to a higher standard, and you got to handle situations differently than the average everyday citizen, which is why police officers, I feel, should be trained, this whole system should be dismantled and revamped with new training like these other countries do, where they train these officers for 2 years before you can become a police officer. And they don't even have guns, most of them. These places here train you for months and they give you a gun. There's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with that. Okay, let's continue. They say Owens once sued the Stamford, Connecticut school board after she was the victim of racist threats in high school, which allegedly were made by the son of then Stamford mayor, Daniel Malloy. He went on to be Connecticut's governor. Owens' family sued the school board for failing to protect her and won a $35,500 settlement, according to the Connecticut Post. So, like I say, she say things that seem kind of confusing, but here is where it all connects real quick. This is from like the Griot by way of MSN.com. And it says Candace Owens is attempting to rebrand herself and black people shouldn't fall for it. And I'm going to scroll down because she talked about a whole lot of this. This is more like an op-ed the person wrote, and the person's name, I'm going to give us credit. Monique Judge. Okay. But I want to go down to the part where I said there is a disconnect. Now remember, she's married a white man. She said there's no racism, but she sued the school because of being racially harassed by the mayor, soon governor's son, and won a lawsuit. So scroll down to the end of this op-ed and it says, Candace Owens is attempting to rebrand herself and black people shouldn't fall for it. Besides, they said, she's talking about the Breakfast Club. So they said God is good to that goofy heifer. And she did not know the proper responses all the time. She actually asked, where did that come from? Amazing. People will say, hey, nah, you see, that proves that she, you know what I'm saying? She one of them. She ain't black. She ain't know that what that is. I didn't even know what that was up until, well, that's okay. Well, I was like in my early 20s. And I went to a black church growing up. But probably because when I was a kid, I didn't pay attention. I was too busy playing, or we was in, you know, in the back playing or kid school. So really didn't, kid church or whatever. So really didn't hear that. You know, the grown folks and old folks might have said it. And then too, you know, when you busy eating peppermints and drawing and playing games and stuff while sitting in the pew, you're not really listening to that. So, but yeah, I grew up in a black church all my life. And so she asked where that come from. So, I mean, but she is, but she is grown now. So you would think that she would know what it is by now. So she also didn't know what year Cash Money Records was taking over, which was like 99-2000. She couldn't say how many times Will Smith got into a fight before his mama sent him to live with his auntie and uncle in Bel Air. So he said one little fight, right? Yeah. She didn't know the name of Maya Angelou's first and most famous book. What is it? Still I Rise? And she didn't know the Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's name. She didn't even know the lyrics to the theme of Good Times. Anytime you need a, I don't know what, a payment, anytime you need a friend, anytime you're a monster, not getting hassled, not getting hustled. I don't even remember the whole thing, but I do know most of it. Keeping your head above water, making away when you can, temporary layoffs, easy credit rip-offs, blah, 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 continue. But here's the thing, and then the person said you can't trust black people like that. Well, here's my thing about that. I grew up in PG, in Pleasant Grove, PG, Texas, Grover, whatever you want to call it, East Side of Dallas. All this stuff here I knew. I grew up in this, I guess you want to call it black culture. I guess what they're trying to say is she has no black culture. She grew up in Stamford, Connecticut. Stamford, I don't know what the population of black people, let's look at it right quick. Stamford, Connecticut, black population. Hell, it didn't even Google search it. According to the racial composition, Stamford, Connecticut was 59.33% white and 12.9% black or African American. They say there was in 2020 there was 17.1 thousand black or African American non-Hispanic residents in Stamford. The racial demographics of Stamford are 64.4% white, 14.1% black, and this, that, and others. That's now. So if you think about 20, 30 years ago, I'm sure it's quite less than that. But it's not a place where you would see a majority of a lot of black people. Anyway, like I said, I grew up in the hood, is what we would call it. All this stuff here with, I guess we would call it black culture. I knew all this. My kids, on the other hand, probably couldn't tell you none of this. Maybe know one, maybe two things, maybe are familiar with it if you bring it up. But as to like the knowledge of what this stuff meant, they couldn't tell you, because probably like Candace Owens' family did, probably tried to shield her from certain things that was deemed black culture in the black community. But in turn, what that does is kind of separates you from normal, okay, not too bad things. Some things that you should be familiar with, or just the wrong with being familiar with. I left the Grove and moved to like suburban Dallas once my oldest daughter was born. Well, a little bit after my oldest daughter was born, really because of the school district. I said I wasn't gonna put my child in private school, and I'm paying taxes. So that's basically what it was for. But there were black people. There was a mix of people wherever she went, and she gravitated and my other daughter too. They all had black friends growing up, black Hispanic friends growing up. Still got them to this day. You know, it is what it is. But so I can't really knock Candace Owens for not knowing those little tidbits of information. Can't do it. You can joke, you can laugh about it, try to make her feel uncomfortable, which is the conclusion or the basis of what I'm trying to say is Candace Owens, I believe, has a problem with being accepted by either black culture and white culture. She, quote unquote, I guess, not quote unquote, but I guess she feels she can gravitate to the white culture more because she's maybe thinks she's more of a free thinker. And she tries to see both sides of the argument, but she doesn't know how to present it without ruffling feathers. And then two, once you start putting certain things out and, you know, like you get them YouTube views and you get the popularity, you might, you know, stay on that side and keep it going, keep the controversy going just because you're getting those clicks and you're getting paid off of it, albeit for the wrong reasons. But I think she is taking advantage of her not really being accepted from either culture. She's like a loner, so she probably feels more comfortable, like say, with her white husband, but maybe not their family, maybe not the friends, but him she's cool with. Although she's not white, I think she, like I say, she can relate to him, like I said, because they can have conversations, and intelligent conversations. And I understand, I get it. You know, when I talk to people, maybe, you know what I'm saying, females, guys, whatever, you know, sometimes you want to have a certain conversation. You want to talk about more than just one thing. You want to talk about more than just rap, or more than just basketball, or more than, you know, just sex or whatever. You want to talk about politics. You want to talk about the news, your opinions on different things, and you want to have a whole dialogue. Somebody that's going to, you know, help you expand your thought process and your horizon, help you grow mentally, because that's the only way you're going to really survive in this world, is to be, you know what I'm saying, learn every day. But if you just stay stagnant, all you know is just, you know, basic hood stuff or whatever you from, and you're not trying to learn more, do better in your life, you can become an outsider. I saw something today that said, like, the more you learn, the more lonely you become. And it's true, because there aren't a lot of people out there, black, white, Hispanic, whoever, that you can probably conversate with the more you learn, because you're going to be talking about things that they're not going to understand, or they're not going to appreciate, or they're not going to want to understand. A lot of people are comfortable with where they're at. What they say, water seeks its own level. And unless you jump out the water and get on land and try to find higher ground, and people with higher intelligence, people who can start a conversation and continue a conversation with you for hours on end about anything, and to be an intelligent conversation and something that you enjoy, until you do that, you will never be happy. But you can be, I guess, content because you got people around you. But if they're not helping you, they're not pushing you, helping you to get better, then it's like, I hate to say it, but they're useless to your future. There, it just is. Remember, Candace Owens told a story about how she met Wyclef Jean a couple of times with a friend of hers, and a friend was like a groupie. And she became a groupie. It was a groupie for a long time. And, you know, she, after a couple of years, she made a lot of money, had a nice apartment. All these athletes, entertainers, and people were paying her bills, this and the third. They said a few years later, she saw she had like a regular hostess job at either at a hotel or a restaurant. And Candace Owens is just steadily rising, doing for what she's saying, doing better, got her family, got her career and everything else. So, I mean, it is what it is. But hey, that's all I got about this. Any sister, I hope for the best. Hope that she can figure it out. She don't really have to, from my standpoint, she don't really have to try to be accepted by anybody. Just be her own individual. Can she come back to the Black community? I don't know. Did Queen come back? When Halle Berry's character, Alex, what is his name? Alex, Lord have mercy, I can't think of his name. Alex Haley. When he wrote the book Queen, I mean, when she tried to come back to the Black community, did they accept her? I don't know. At the end of the movie, I think it turned off. So we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below, share it with the world. Let's have a conversation. Let's dialogue. You know how we do around here. Love to go back and forth with you. Hey, you can support the channel. The 4 ways you can support the channel non-monetarily. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. I want to take a couple minutes for you to do all 4 of them. Helps with the channel, boost the video and the algorithm, get more views, get more subscribers, and help me so I can move forward into improving the production. If you want to support monetarily, there are links in the description box below. Click on those and, support however you may. Either way, hey, I'm happy. I appreciate you just watching, but at least, give me a like. That's like, you can't go wrong with likes. If you want to reach out to me, you want to talk about anything, if you got any stories that you want me to cover, hit me up at soulinthesoil@gmail.com. That's soulinthesoil@gmail.com. And with that being said, I leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.